Welcome everybody to another round of World of Tanks subscriber replays. My name as always is Maxwell, and today's first video is from the user Syndrome. That's Syndrome, and he's driving the Churchill gun carrier on an encounter battle on the mines. Excuse me for my little bit of a giggle there, but the Churchill gun carrier gets a little bit of flack for not being a particularly great tank destroyer. So, straight away you may have noticed that the Churchill gun carrier was driving through the ground just a little bit there. This is a replay from an older version of World of Tanks, so there are going to be some graphical and map inaccuracies. I.e. there are going to be times when stuff like that happens, like you drive straight through boxes, probably because on the old version of the map those boxes weren't there, and certain rocks might not be in the places that you expect them. Don't worry, it's not map hacking, and it's not modding, it's just this is what happens when you play an older version of a World of Tanks replay on a newer version of the game. It doesn't always work out 100% accurately, but don't worry about it, the instances like that are to a minimum. So, straight on to the replay. Going to be setting up here in the centre of the map. Notices that a few guys are pushing the left-hand side, so going to stop here and try and fend them off. Unfortunately, wasn't able to hit the Jackson earlier, and then the Panzer 3-4 got into cover in time. Luckily, the Panzer 3-4 was taken out, and that just leaves the Jackson here facing off against this Nashorn, although the Nashorn only has 6 hit points. So if the Jackson's able to fell him, there's going to be nothing between him and the allied spawn area. He's going to be able to flank around behind everybody. He takes out the Nashorn, but then he himself gets taken out by the Panzer Soufflé there, and that leaves Syndrome just kind of stuck out in the middle of a field with nothing to do. Which is pretty bad, because the Churchill gun carrier, not the nippiest of tanks, it's not particularly quick, so if you're caught a decent distance away from a battle, it's going to take you a while to get there. Sorry, just having a quick look at the Churchill there, just admiring its beauty and its sleek lines. You may notice as well that it's got a very, very tight firing arc. Its gun doesn't go very far to either side, so this thing really is difficult to get the hang of. But as we're about to see, Syndrome knows what he's doing with the Churchill gun carrier. So, no enemy tanks really on the hill here. It looks like they've just rushed everybody towards the cap circle. And the Allied team doing a good job of just having that BDR in the cap circle, just at least not letting it go up at all, even though the enemy team has sort of 60% of their team sat in that cap circle. That one BDR just stopping the cap, hiding behind a building. They've got a Hellcat going up the left-hand side, and then Syndrome himself coming through the centre. So trying to make a decision now of whether to go for this T-34-85 that's hiding behind a building, or just plough straight in towards the cap circle. Doesn't really want to expose his rear armour to the T-34-85, but to be honest, he looks a little bit preoccupied with the Hellcat at the moment. That was a very nice shot on his counterpart there, the other Churchill gun carrier. He's going to let his gun close in and take out that KV-1, which is a very nice shot, and he picks up his first kill now over the match. Resets the cap back down to 0. Nobody's capping the base at the moment. Still going to be heading over here. Spots out a T-49. He's not looking, so this should be a good shot into his rear. And that's kill number 2. And the enemy team starting to drop like flies now. They were doing so well at the beginning when they had all of these guys in the cap circle. But now they're just dropping like flies. You can see a flying M7 there. Up in the sky, because there used to be a hill there. Just going to take his time on this one. Aim straight in the back of him and picks up a good chunk of damage onto this M7. But the enemy team has decided to do something about the Allies now, and they've started to actually push down. They've gotten rid of that BDR now. It looks like KV-1S has pushed that guy down, but not defending their flanks or their rear, and Syndrome's just able to come in and get shots on everybody. Does take a hit there from a KV-1, but it doesn't do a particularly large amount of damage, so he can just take that one on the chin, and he's going to keep slowly rolling in, because really got to take out the enemy team. As you see, firing straight through a rock there, because that rock never used to be there. The M7 being pretty smart there, and just, oh, very nice ammo rack on that KV-1. Just waiting for the Churchill gun carrier to fire, and then backing off around the corner. Unfortunately, he gets himself taken out as well, and the Allied team's really just collapsed upon them like waves against the shore here, and just really pummeled them down, and that leaves just this KV-1 and this KV-1S left. Fixes his track up so he can get a shot on him, and there we go. That is kill number 6, and then there's just this KV-1S left, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is why you don't put 80% of your team in the cap circle on an encounter battle, because the allied team will just have free roam of the map and be able to come at you from every single different angle and just pummel you down into submission. So we're going to take this KV-1S on frontally. Fantastic shot there, sets him on fire and picks up kill number 7 in the amazing Churchill gun carrier. So absolutely awesome replay there from Syndrome. Thank you very much for sending that one in. Stick around, because as always the score screens and another game are coming right up. And our second replay of the day is from the user Killer Wings. That's Killer Wings, and he's driving the M24 Chaffee on a standard battle on the airfield. M24 Chaffee is a tier 5 light tank for the Americans. Used to be the darling of the scouting world. It used to be without equal. The VK2801, in my opinion, nowhere near as all-round and generally as powerful as the Chaffee. This thing used to be, like I said, without equal probably last year. But then with the onset of the tier 7 and tier 8 scout tanks, this thing kind of fell out of favour. And not just really fell out of favour, it kind of lost its role, as in tier 9 and 10 scout tier 9 and 10 battles, you really would rather have a tier 7 or tier 8 scout tank rather than the tier 5 Chaffee. So it lost its position as the premier scout tank, and it also kind of lost its usefulness. It doesn't really have that much of a job right now, but hopefully there'll be some buffs for this thing incoming, and it can once again become a good scout tank. But when you get it into a tier 7 battle like this thing can really wreak havoc. So as we can see, Killer Wing's just going to be taken to the centre of the map here. You're going to see who we can spot out, because this thing does have a decent view range. Also, the gun that it has on it is pretty damn impressive. As you can see, we'll just take a quick look. It does an average of 115 damage and an average of 137 penetration, but the thing you will notice is its reload speed is 2.78 seconds, which is just under 3 seconds, for those of you who can count. And that's a very, very quick firing speed, especially when it's able to penetrate quite a lot of things at tier 7. When you're in a tier 9, tier 10 match, then you're a little bit out of luck, as it's probably not going to be able to penetrate that many things. But as you can see, he gets a good hit on the KV-2 there and just drops back out of his way. This KV-2's he's got no chance of being able to duel with a Chaffee. A Chaffee's just going to run rings around him. As you can see, still see that he's pointing his gun primarily in this direction, so he's going to not going to poke himself out while that's happening. Does find a KV-1 in the background there. Just gets a good hit on him, and the KV-1 just decides to drop back, because there's no way a KV-1 being of the same tier is ever going to be able to duel with a Chaffee and come out on top, unless the Chaffee is slightly retarded. So still going to be hanging in the centre here. Excuse me. So just going to have a cheeky shot there at that Type T-34, but he was well behind cover, so not quite finding its target there. But Killer Wing's still going to be hanging around the centre here. Going to be seeing if he can get some shots of opportunity maybe on this KV-2. But it looks like the KV-2's gone off to try and fend off the AMX there. And the KV-1S. So Killer Wing's going to try and come in around behind him. And the turret traverse speed of this KV-2 is so slow that the Chaffee's just going to be able to run rings around him, as we can see here. And there's going to be nothing he can do about it. And that is kill number 1 now for Killer Wings. We saw he was under fire earlier. Somebody did have a pot shot across the way at him, so he's just going to have to quickly move off and get out of here. Going to be heading up towards this KV-1. Going to duck behind the rock. The KV-1's looking in the wrong direction, and again, I don't think he's going to have the turret traverse. In fact, it doesn't even look like he's trying. Maybe he didn't think that the Chaffee was much of a risk, although he now understands that he absolutely is. but it looks like the SU-100Y is able to finish him off. And now it looks like Killer Wings is on the hunt for some artillery. Enemy's only got 2 artillery pieces, so unfortunately it's not going to be a Pascucci's, but hopefully he can find... And they're both right next to each other. So, nice little bit of play here to find both the artillery pieces, who probably haven't moved since they spawned in. Just easily going to be able to take out the first one here, and then switch his attention to the M44, who just hasn't registered that he's even here. In fact, let's just have a quick look. It looks like his gun is actually pointed down, so it looks like this guy's actually AFK. And just takes him out in time to get behind a rock away from this AMX M445. And you may have seen that he has been using auto-aim a couple of times. Normally I'm not a fan of auto-aim, but when you're using it in a light tank and you've got to make some complicated maneuvers and pay more attention to where you're driving than where you're shooting, then I'm actually all for using auto-aim. As long as once you want to fire, or once you've finished driving and maneuvering, that you disable the auto-aim. Don't rely on it, because it's not fantastically accurate. Get some good hits into the rear here, able to take out that Crusader, and then doesn't want to take any more shots from that T-43, but a KV-1S just goes full retard and goes down the hill to try and get the Chaffee, and unfortunately just busts himself up as he falls down. Didn't manage to get a shot, and just gets himself taken straight out there, and he just becomes kill number 5 for Killer Wings. T-43 paying far too much attention to Killer Wings and the Chaffee here, pointing his gun all the way down towards this location. And as he does so, the Allied team's just able to close in around him and take him out. So... a little bit unfortunate for the T-43 here, and that just leaves this AMX M445, and Killer Wings is going to be on the hunt to try and take him out. Unfortunately spots him, and he is heading in this direction, but if you can keep eyes on him, hopefully his allies should be able to pound him, and he's had his shot, and that is him destroyed. The Tiger 1 taking him out in the end, and that is GG for the game. So absolutely awesome replay there from Killer Wings, picking up 2,000 points of damage, 5 kills, and just showing that the Chaffee still has a place in this battle. So, thank you very much for sending that replay in. Don't forget, if you've got yourself a great replay, then please send that to replay@screenreality.com. Link for that is in the description. Leave me a like or favourite and put a comment in the comment section below letting me know exactly what you thought. And if you're not already, then please consider hitting that subscribe button for more content like this in the future. I have been Maxwell, this has been World of Tanks, and I will catch you guys next time.